Welcome, everybody, to another episode of whatever it is we're calling this show. But specifically today, I am with our Rampage Artist of the Year for the Rampage Literary Magazine. So if you're watching this video, you may have followed the link from the Rampage Literary Magazine, or you just like watching our videos. Either one is fine. So let's go ahead and introduce our guest.
My name is Carmen. I'm a senior at Revis.
How many art classes have you had here at Revis High School in your 4 years?
I've had too many to count. Most of my days are just in the art wing, and I like that a lot. Like, I skipped out on science and math for the last year just to have more art.
I did my best to skip math and science when I was in high school too. So let's try to count. So you came in as a freshman. Tell me, like, what did you do here when you were a freshman in terms of art classes?
Well, I started in Intro to Art with Mr. Basil.
And then sophomore year, did you do drawing your sophomore year?
I did sculpture.
Oh.
I never did drawing. This year I'm doing painting, and then I also did ceramics during sophomore year.
And I think that in a strange way, because you went a slightly different route and you didn't draw and then paint, you painted and then you drew, I think it shows in the style of your work. And I think it's a positive thing that makes your work unique. There is a sort of sculptural quality to it. It sort of stylistically, it looks really like a painting. And I think what happens to a lot of high school artists, a lot of beginning artists or intermediate artists, is they learn to draw first and they learn to draw really well. So then when they start painting, they tend to paint as though they're drawing. So they're drawing with paint, which is actually not the right way. Your story, there's a defining moment. There's this little spark where you see something or you hear something or you meet someone. What was that for you? What was the thing that set you down this path?
I was around somewhere elementary school, and I was researching different paintings just out of boredom, and I came across Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night, and I saw kind of the texture and the application of the paint. Even though it was on a computer screen, it was still really cool to see. And so from there, I decided that like painting would be pretty fun to try. And I would spend hours on different paintings and trying to get each one perfect. And since his was so perfect and everyone loved it, I was like, well, maybe I can try that. Spending that time getting those lines perfect, I realized that I couldn't do it. And I wanted to totally give up after all of those paintings. Each line that was wobbly sort of paved the way for me to think, what if it just is wobbly and what if it's not straight perfect line? From there on, I decided to just make it messy and maybe that would give it more personality. And so when I started at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, their early college program classes, I really explored that type of messy art style. Looking at different types of art there, especially in the museum, really helped.
If I'm looking at your work and I'm trying to trace back, like retrace your steps and find your inspiration, I feel like your work kind of reminds me of that. It's got this textural quality to it. There is a sort of like movement. You're not trying to be too photorealistic. You're not trying to be too precious with the way that you're doing things. So I think that even though you started out trying to be a perfectionist, perfection is actually the enemy of progress. You threw away that whole idea and thought, well, I'm just going to embrace who I am, right?
Right.
And why else would we need artists in the world if we were all going to do the same thing and we were all going to paint the same way? There would be no such thing as art. It would not have any unique expression. It would just be who can copy reality the most, right? And
Sure.
why not just take a photograph or shoot a movie? You don't really need artists at that point.
My teacher, Miss Montes, asked me, what do you want to be when you're older? Like, what do you want to do with your life? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I haven't thought that far. I was terrified of college.
No one ever wants to be asked at 16 years old, what are you going to do with the rest of your life?
After that, she kind of already knew my love for art, but not fully. And so I kind of explained it more. And she told me, go home, research a bunch of different colleges, see what you like. We started talking about how she was at the Art Institute of Chicago when she was in college. And she told me about their early college program classes that I didn't know of before. And from there, I signed up for one and then took four more after that. So they were spread out through the last like 3 years. Some of them were like a summer intensive week long class, and then other ones were like a month or two long, but like every weekend. Definitely want to go to college at the Art Institute for sure. And after that, some sort of art job, honestly. I've been looking into teaching. My goal would be to be like an art professor specifically, but I'm not sure that far.
Okay, that's okay. It's fine. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, honestly. You've already been published, so can you tell us a little bit about that project?
In October of last year, an author reached out to me based on some of my work that she saw, and she really liked it, and she asked me if I could be the illustrator for her latest book.
Let's see it. Hold it up for us. You got a copy of it here. Yeah, you can go online and pick that up, right? We're gonna
Yes.
put the Amazon link in the bottom of the description down here because that's what we do. We're gonna go ahead and do some marketing for you. So you did all the illustrations on the interior of the book and the cover. You
Yes.
did all the work, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Over 30 pages.
All right. What's the story about? What is the book about?
So it's about a little girl. She's on the front cover,
Hmm.
and she is looking for this butterfly sanctuary, and she wants to lead the butterfly back into the forest, but she finds a monster, and in Hispanic culture, this monster is called El Cucuy, and this monster sort of scares her and tries to coax her into singing for her, and she sings in Spanish, and he falls asleep to the sound of her voice, and she somehow uses that to, like, maneuver her way to get the butterfly back to its sanctuary.
All right. So it's like an epic story. This sounds like the Lord of the Rings with butterflies. Not really, but kind of. Many people right around the age of 10 or 11 start to have these expectations for what their art should look like and they quit, right? So it'd be the equivalent of if we were all learning to read and we all quit when we were 10, we'd be adults walking around reading like 10-year-olds, right? So
Right.
that's why most people say, I can't draw as an adult because they quit, right? So
Mhm.
what is the thing about art that kept you on the path and why is it important to you?
Art is very important to me because it not only keeps me busy, but it's something that I love to do, and no matter what I'm making, pour all of my love into it, and I try my hardest to just let it be what it is.
Your work has a lot of what I would say, just is someone who doesn't know it and is first coming in contact. It's got a very a cultural aspect to it. So I feel like your background is in these pieces, and it seems like there's so much going on. There's just a lot of stuff, and I feel like it's all important. It's not just there randomly. There's not like a shelf with a million different things on it. They're all there for a reason. So, how have you kind of like taken your cultural heritage, your background, and made that part of your work?
Not only have I taken the cultural aspects of it, but, like, really diving deep into it, like, why is this texture? Like, for example, when I travel to Mexico with my family, I look at the texture of the walls, kinda sorta stucco texture, and I'm like, "How can I apply that to my artwork?" The colors as well, the vibrancy of Mexico, it's just all over the place, and it's really beautiful to me, so I like to kind of take that home, and I do that a lot when I go on vacation. I try to take as much of it home with me as I can, whether it's through pictures, through souvenirs, and then those pictures and those souvenirs and things, I try to apply it to my artwork. For example, like, literally cutting out photos and sticking it on there or just grabbing those textures and colors. I recently went to Spain and I kept every single receipt that I got from there, whether it's food or souvenirs or anything that I purchased out there, and I covered them in watercolor paint and kind of made flowers out of them. I created this vase that was made out of clay, and I stuck photos of Spain on there, as well as the different textural elements that I built up with the clay, like sort of a relief texture. I stuck the flowers in the vase, and so now it's like a whole memory of Spain in itself, whether it's the receipts, the colors, the textures, whatever. That's how I take things home with me.
You know, it's almost like you're kind of opening a diary to people and you're letting them in to your world without having to articulate that to people. You don't have to say like, here's who I am, here's what I'm about, here's where I come from, these are the things that are important to me. You're kind of taking all those things and you're thinking about them, but then you're communicating that in a visual way, which is what all art is about. I think your work is amazing.
Thank you.
And you have your fans all throughout Revis now. Congratulations on being the Rampage featured artist of the year. I think it's well deserved. And I wish you the best of luck moving forward. And I know that we're going to hear great things, and we're probably going to have you back on here as a working artist to tell us about, you know, what that life looks like on the other side of high school. Everyone, thanks a lot. That was fun. Thank you.
Thank you.